doctor.
Yes.
I want to be careful because he went to a witch doctor in Luwero, then later was taken to Chirudu Hospital. So the wife yesterday delivered at Chitebi Health Center, and she was showing signs of Ebola.
Yes.
And upon testing, it was discovered that she had contracted Ebola. Now she's in Entebbe Isolation Center, while the doctors are attended to her and at Molago, where they're in isolation. But the ministry says we do not have an Ebola case in Kampala because the Chirudu case and that of Chitebi are contacts that were being looked for. That is in Mubende. So it's still, we do not have any case that has originated from Kampala. No need to panic, but remember, the disease is with us.
Well, indeed, but as long as you know what to do, and we will always remind you of how this infection can be transmitted and how you can also prevent it, and also just to be very optimistic that we know that you can actually recover from it for as long as you report to a health facility right in the early stages. When you start witnessing some of the signs and symptoms, clearly do the needful. Don't go to the wrong places for the right thing. Go to the right place, to the right people at the right time to get the right medication. Good morning, Mollen. How are you doing this Friday?
Well, good morning to you, Philomena. I'm doing okay. I'm starting off with quite a good mood into Friday, and obviously it has a lot to do with the fact that it's the last working day, but also going into the weekend. Of course, now it's one of those days you get in the mood and prepare for the weekend. But I still want to talk about, you know, the 4 acts that were assigned into law. And I think my favorite there, the one I'm concentrating on, is on the, of course, the computer, the Computer Misuse Act. You look at the fact that now, when you have to post something on social media, no one is denying you the space. You have freedom of speech in this country. You have freedom to be on whatever social platform. That is there for you. But now, you have to think more than twice, actually, before you post whatever. You have to think, you know, more than 5 times before you do anything. Because now, there is a law on the table, and you can be, you know, a culprit anytime. But also this law is at the same time protecting us, because there has been a lot of cyberbullying. Someone goes on social media, they drag your name into the mud, and now you have a law to protect you. So this is actually a very good thing for Ugandans. If you sit down and think about it, all this bullying that has been going on social media, we can now put a break to it, because we know someone will be there thinking, okay, there is a law that could get me into trouble. And of course, that is going to be on us to now behave. But I know there are a lot of Ugandans that will still not listen. The good thing is that there is a law, and now I cannot wait, because now we've been going on social media, someone abuses you, and then you have to call for help. You're tagging UCC everywhere. You want to look for help from, you know, for attention, so that someone can bring you in and they're able to do anything. But now, you can actually just get a lawyer and sue them for whatever they have said, because the law is there. And for me, that is really, really, I'm appreciative of this law.
Also, Mollen, very interesting about this. Ugandans should also know, even if you're not the originator, but you share. You know, this is that come because you saw it somewhere. You continue sharing. Well, you're equally culpable under this law. So this excitement, you're kafunye, video share. Well, share may get you into trouble.
You also share the jail time.
So this kaweres, may not be the originator, but you will suffer equally like the originator.
Well, we are yet to discuss more about this law. How is it going to affect Ugandans? Do you think it was a fair law? Do you think it's a fair law? Do you think it suppresses the freedom of speech, or it has just come in at the right time for the right purpose, and probably to the right people who need this law? When it comes to the way they express themselves, with what and to whom are they expressing themselves? But also, just to find out from Felix, I know Robert already said good morning to you, but yes, how are you feeling this Friday morning?
I feel good.
You're sure? Do you need a second cup of coffee?
I'm getting one already. It's been a bit clumsy for me in the morning, I must say. I've been having this sort of like, I took some meds.
Yes.
For I had a bit of, I thought I was going to get a bit of cough or something,
Yes.
so I took some meds. Man,
Is the weather doing a number on you?
yeah, a little bit of that, so I had a bit of allergies. And then,
Felix, why now have you taken medicine? You've grown up with this.
I'm regretting, that's the thing, that's what I'm trying to say. I wish I went back to Jaja. Because honestly and truly,
it
would be very healthy now.
medicine here.
I know, and that's why I'm regretting. Like,
Should have done your
the thing made me sleep.
Yes.
Oh, but I just, like it was hard for me to wake up because of the meds I took last evening. Yeah, and that's why I'm regretting. I should have just drove to Rubaga to Granny to get something, man, which I'm gonna do after the show. But away from that, Friday is a good day, I must say. It is a good day, definitely. Many people want to come a little bit down from the up and about of the week,
Yes.
this serious work. But funny thing is many people still work on weekends. There are many jobs that require people to sort of like full time. Uncle Bobby was talking about people who go out in the evening. There's definitely someone who's saying, by night weekend here too, say, you know, the bar girls, the bouncers, they're like, as you sort of like want to relax off, for them they're like, oh my God.
Yes.
So that's how hilarious life can be. But nevertheless, as we go into our weekend, there's a lot of us to keep our minds alive too. Weekends are gonna be good, but you guys just been talking about that law, so you better not be caught on the other side of that law, because clearly it's gonna catch a lot of people. It's gonna catch a lot of people. I'm telling you honestly, just watch the space.
And actually, there are people who have been earning and surviving on these illegalities. Some bloggers. Now, some people are very famous because of hate speech, and they have gotten money. Some have been paid. Hit this one, hit that one, and now with this law, I'm very sure they're going to be put out of business. Many of them.
Well, like I did promise, we'll be having further discussions about this law later on, but we'll also be having a very special guest that is going to be joining us just a few minutes from now. So make sure you do stick around, because it is Good Morning Uganda Friday special. Well, we'll be getting into some of the stories right now, local stories, international stories. When it comes to stories in the East African region, definitely we are delivering this morning.
And we'll begin with President Yoweri Museveni, who has hailed and rewarded the best performers of Team Uganda that represented it at the nation at the World Athletics Championship and the Commonwealth Games. This was at a ceremony held at State House Entebbe, where he also gave a land title of the house of the late Olympic gold medalist John Akibua back to the family. President Yoweri Museveni also reiterated his government's commitment to continue supporting sports excellency, which he described as one that can propel Uganda to more development and transformation of the nation. The president addressed different groups of sportsmen and women under the National Council of Sports who excelled in the different sports activities at world and continental stages, whom together with the First Lady and the Minister for Education and Sports hosted at a special luncheon at State House in Entebbe.
On another story, we'll be looking at access to food remains a global basic human right, which in Uganda is constrained by the rise in food prices and intensity of climate change shocks. Now, this underscores the need for a national plan to address food crisis, reasons why Ministry of Agriculture is due to submit a supplementary budget. And the third Deputy Prime Minister, Rukia Nakadama, was speaking during the opening of the high-level dialogue on the World Food Day celebrations at the office of the Prime Minister.
And moving on, Makerere University has marked 100 years of Julius Nyerere as part of its 100-year celebration. The symposium that attracted Pan-Africans from 8 African countries focused on Julius Nyerere's legacy and what the young Africans can learn from him. As part of Makerere University's century celebrations, the institution has honored one of its outstanding alumni, Julius Kambarage Nyerere, who would be 100 years this year. Makerere University Vice Chancellor Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, in his remarks, said Nyerere contributed greatly to the intellectual development of the university. Professor Eddie Maroka from South Africa, who was also a keynote speaker, noted that there is need for Africa leaders to emulate Nyerere's legacy and his nationalistic approach in order to arrest the existing challenges that Africa is facing, ranging from instability to integration.
Now, the Constitutional Court is to deliver a ruling on notice in the case of the Initiative for Social and Economic Rights filed against the Attorney General, challenging the series of agreements signed between the Uganda government and Finasa Rocco to construct Lubowa Specialized Hospital. Initiatives for Social and Economic Rights civil society organization in this matter is before the Constitutional Court. Initiative for Social and Economic Rights is challenging the series of agreements signed by the government to construct Lubowa Specialized Hospital, and trillions were dished out in this particular contract, it is alleged.
The international scene starting off with Ukrainian officials have urged the Red Cross to conduct a mission to a notorious prison camp in the Russia-occupied east of the country. The Ukrainian president's chief of staff, Andriy Yermak, demanded that the Red Cross visit the Olenivka prison in Donetsk within 3 days. Last month, the Red Cross tried to secure access to the camp, but said it was denied by Russian authorities. The Olenivka prison has been under the control of Russian-backed authorities in Donetsk since 2014, and conditions are said to be extremely poor. In July, dozens of Ukrainian prisoners were killed in rocket attacks at the camp, which both sides blamed on each other. Kyiv said the prison was targeted by Russia to destroy evidence of torture and killing, while Moscow blamed Ukrainian rockets. Crossing over to China, a rare protest attacking President Xi Jinping and China's COVID restrictions has taken place in Beijing, days before a historic Communist Party Congress. Images showed two protest banners on a bridge in the northwest of the city. The protest appeared to have been swiftly stopped by the authorities. Frustration has been mounting in the capital before the Congress. There's been an outpouring of anger online at strict security measures and the COVID restrictions put in place. Authorities have tightened access to the city, shutting out many travelers, returning residents and deliveries. Others had their movement restricted or were forced to quarantine.
Countries divided over UN votes against Russia. Now, the UN General Assembly on Wednesday condemned Russia's illegal annexation of the Ukrainian territory after Moscow voted a similar text in the Security Council in late September. Now, 26 African countries voted in favor of the resolution rejecting Moscow's controversial referendum in 4 Ukrainian regions. 19 others abstained. Mali, the Central African Republic, Ethiopia, the Republic of Congo, South Africa, Sudan, Uganda, and Zimbabwe were among the African countries that abstained. Eritrea, which had previously voted to reject a UN resolution condemning the Russian invasion of Ukraine, also abstained. Now, 3 of these countries hosted Russia's diplomatic chief, Sergei Lavrov, during his tour of the region in July. And weather and climate news, 3 states issue evacuation orders after heavy rains in Australia. Now, communities in 3 Australian states have been ordered to evacuate as torrential rains bring major flooding. Now, parts of the country have received more than 3 times their average October rainfall in just 24 hours. At least 500 homes have been flooded, 1 person has died and another is missing as the disaster unfolds. A widespread flooding across Australia, driven by a La Nina weather pattern, has killed more than 20 people this year. Victoria, Australia's second most popular state, has been worst hit this week, and several communities have been ordered to evacuate, including some in the state capital, Malabo.
It is Good Morning Uganda Friday special, and we are still going on and on. Now, earlier on, I did promise that I would be revealing to you who our special guest is this morning. Now, this one is a great man. He does some great things. I haven't seen a number of people who actually do what he does. And when I tell you what he does, most definitely you'll be able to resonate with me. And this morning, we are blessed to host this very special gentleman, that is Kenneth Nahawe. Good morning, Kenneth. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm doing so great, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you, UBC. It's my really deep pleasure to be here.
Well, Kenneth here that you see is actually an Afro-classic fusionist, and he's also an African culture conversationist, plus a music teacher. I will tell you one thing, Kenneth. People here, every other day, they've been telling us how they want to take on music lessons. Now, I'm very happy that having you here as a music teacher, maybe you pass on lessons. The question is, are you going to charge some money?
Well, it will depend.
Hey, it is a private arrangement.
Yeah, sure, it will depend.
Well, at least one thing for sure we know is that there is a possibility of that happening. But Kenneth, we are very glad to have you this morning. How was your week? How's your week been?
Fantastic. I tell you, it was really fantastic. Everything was okay. How was yours?
My week was amazing. I cannot really complain.
Sorry.
I cannot really
Me
complain.
too, economy.
Economy. Yeah, but we'll be okay. We'll definitely be all right. Well, we are still with Kenneth all the way. He's going to be giving us some great performances as a Good Morning Uganda Friday special still goes on. And much later on now, we'll be having some more conversations about that one bill that was passed into law yesterday after being consented to by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Well, do stick around. We'll be having more to unpack for you here on Good Morning Uganda Friday Special.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda. Pick of the day on UBC.
If I'm looking at issues of taxation and all that, I will definitely run for the Kateshumbas. Okay?
Okay.
If I look at, if I'm looking at issues of investments and what, I would definitely run. I would definitely run for Dr. Emure Kugonza and Honorable Omara. Okay. If I'm looking at issues of the law, I will run for our very, very own people. I have the Oboso Bosses, I have the Katuntus, I have the Robin Arwakojos. So everyone is talented in one way or another.
Did you mention Katuntu?
Okay? Yes.
Is he yours?
Yes, he is.
Yours as in NRM?
He is.
Was brought to you by
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show, because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed, and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions, plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Effects of climate change are glaring. We have floods, landslides, drought, food insecurity. His Excellency the President has been very passionate about this, and he has explained the effect of destroying our natural resources, especially the wetlands and cutting the forests. As Cabinet, as government, we have approved a 10 years restoration program. We are going to provide alternative sources of livelihood, and the call is that people should leave the wetlands. And we have started from today evicting people from Lubiji wetlands, and we are going to roll out the whole country. Our prayer is that those who have not yet been reached, please live peacefully. We are going to provide alternative source of livelihood as a government. Those who are still engaged in manufacturing and selling the plastic, especially the illegal non-buveras, we are going to close onto them. They are also a menace to our country. We look forward very soon having sodas back in the breakable bottles rather than the plastics which are being thrown all over to litter. I want to call upon Ugandans, let's conserve and let's use sustainably our natural resources. I thank you.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Programme.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello? Hello? This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey! You don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions, and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number, and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera, refrain from unnecessary engagements with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Agandi nije ije oro boro je agandi yankunira bajenyi bareire kunira bajenyi yankunira kunira bajenyi bareire kunira bajenyi yankunira kunira mawe yankunira kunira mawe bakunire bamutamba kunira bajenyi bareire kunira bajenyi nimwe baro kwijai mukurice mihanda yemwe bakanyanya yemwe bakanyanya mukuri cyo butembo yemwe bamutamba mu karamare yemwe bakanyanya ireba nimba kunda owitu ni kabale yeka muchuma ndinga yakunira mawe yakunire bakanyanya yekali bataka sinde katengatenga na bataka kandi katengatenga bakunda banyeto mwana wo mugwani atirinye kerere katujatemba chana chimwe cha musije chitamaranye na bugumba kali bataka sinde katengatenga na bataka kandi katengatenga oso nashuma kamutashuma na timba kamutatemba na renjera kachere seria kamucherenje na tawutuzire bakanyanye niko kwika mu gihugu mwanya yewe owitu ni kabale yeka muchuma ndinga ewe ni mukazale nkabagaburira yakunira mawe bakunire bakanyanya oijo ndalire owitu kabale mawe owitu we mawe obutembo n'obushumo jolewe oijo ndaliro gwakata no gwa mukaga nsibe niwe sande nze kushoma jolewe ijo ndalire enkakunda obulenje mawe akunda obulenje mawe akuboboneire mawe oijo ndaliro gwakata no gwa mukaga nsibe niwe sande nze kushoma jolewe ijo ndalire majore linkukunda ibone mwana yabari chishi majore linkukunda mana nebaka mwenyo amino gorubara mishoge nyonyoze kibunu cye kishabo yibare mwana yibare oijo ndalire mawe iwe kanyanya mawe yareba nkukunda jolewe oijo ndalire mawe owitu kabale mawe azo ijo ndaliro gwakata no gwa mukaga nsibe niwe sande nze kushoma jolewe ijo ndalire yibari mwana Nkunda zahiga Nkunda zahiga bakanyanya yabatimbo bahigana yareba twena twahigana hanu ya hayubisiwe Nkunda zahiga abatimbo bahigana yabona bahigana yenimwije tuzane weza Nkunda zahiga Nkunda zahiga Nkunda zahiga Nkunda zahiga lerera waruha ahu yamwena ngoi.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
They are built very strong, small houses, but at a low cost. You have not been given land to farm it, to farm it, each one with his plot, but farm together so that the farm is, you can plow together. So, mwanyara navi were abalinde. Thank you.
Uganda is born again, free and independent.
Hey, it's time to play. Let's go! We're glad you came because we love to share. Let's have some fun. What should we try next? With everyone, because we love to learn together, making new friends forever. Sesame Street friends.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda Friday special over here with you all the way till the hour of 9 a.m. My name is Philomena Mastiko, and yet welcome to this very special edition of discussion. But maybe first things first, I did hear your, I don't even know what I can call that, the performance. There is a traditional name for it, Kenneth, in your mother tongue. How would you call that?
We call that Okwitenanga.
Okwitenanga. Ah! Okay. Every other day I am learning new things. Okwitenanga. I think in Runyankole it's called, where have I forgotten that name? Anyway, as we go on, we'll be remembering it. But Okwitenanga, it was quite an amazing one. I did hear a name there, Jolly. I don't know. Do you have? Is she close to your heart, or you just decided to get this random name and put it in there?
Not really. Jolly. It's I used it. We use it as maybe an image name.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jolly can be someone else. It can be
It
Sheila.
can be a Philomena, it can be a Mollen, it can be anyone, really.
That's true. That's true.
Well, that is Okwitenanga, just in case you didn't hear the man say it right. Well, we are going to be having a conversation still in that line when it comes to culture, when it comes to, you know, what you believe in. Seeing as where the times are going right now in Uganda, there is quite a lot that has changed. Things are dynamic. People don't behave the way they used to behave back in the day. People don't believe in the things that people used to believe in back in the day. People don't follow a certain kind of lifestyle anymore. I could say that there is a lot that has happened in between then and now. Now, seeing as Kenneth here definitely is so much into culture, he's actually a culture conversationist. We'll probably be getting more of his opinions when it comes to today's topic, where we do really want to talk about how do we maintain our cultures and customs amidst changing times. How do we maintain our cultures and customs amidst changing times? Now, this is a question I'm also going to pose to you, our beautiful viewers. Tell us what you think we can do to make sure that as we go on further and further, as very many things come before us, as very many times, as very dynamic times keep getting, we still maintain our cultures and customs. Now, when we speak of culture, definitely this could represent a social way of people, a social way of living when it comes to people, the things they believe in, all right, the symbols they truly believe in, their lifestyle. Very many other things are really encompassed when it comes to culture, but also maybe asking ourselves the most important question: why is culture very necessary for any community? Anyway, do you believe that it is important for a community to have a certain way of believing, a culture system? Well, that is what we are going to be discussing this morning. Myself and our very special guest, Kenneth Nahabwe, Mollen, Kenyana, and Felix Nkunda. Maybe to start off from the other corner with Felix. Felix, I see you smiling. Again, I know that you really love things that have to do with culture, things that have to do with all these things we have always been discussing. But maybe just to hear from your opinion, how would you define culture? And do you think it's necessary for any society, for any community to have culture? And in your opinion, again, why do you think it is necessary to have that culture?
Culture, I think, from a definition, Philo, overall, totally it has been defined as given particular practices, beliefs, norms, ways of life, just to mention but a few, of a particular community. And for a custom, if I take you just a bit into the legal analogies and what can pass to be a custom validly, is that these customs has probably 4 qualifiers. One, that it must have been practiced over time, you know, like practiced for quite a time. You know, you don't wake up on one and say like, we have been doing this for the last 7 months. That doesn't pass to be a culture or a custom for that matter. But secondly, it is not enough that it's been being done for a long time, but it's also important that it must be acceptable. That it has been acceptable or accepted by all these people in this particular community or society. The third one is that it must be common. Now, acceptability in its own self is not necessarily enough, but it must be common. That it is not, for example, it doesn't bring into unfairness or like it's women, it's sort of like oats women to be part of the practice of this kind of thing, so that's important. But the last one is that it mustn't also be contrary to natural justice. So that's why you've seen some customs and practices like FMG in the Sebei have been challenged consistently, that they are contrary to natural justice. So basically, if you ask me what customs and culture is, that's the aspect I can give it to you into, that these are procedurally accepted practices, ways of life, norms, beliefs of a particular community.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, but speaking of culture, Mollen, do you think it's necessary for a given group of community members or a society, like in Uganda, for example, we do have very many cultures that have different beliefs, that have different practices, that have a different, very many things that differ us from each, culture setup. In your opinion, do you think it's really necessary for us to have all these cultural establishments, culture setups, culture systems in all these given societies?
Well, because if you talk about culture, we're talking about a broad theme of, people's beliefs and, norms and customs and all these issues that define a certain culture. Now, it is important that it is to a specific, a particular people, because we know in today's diversity, almost every culture has its own beliefs. There is a little that we share, but even then, we have gotten into an era, or like Felix normally calls it, the millennials. We are not understanding what that was based upon. And I think it's about time that we now know the basis of our culture, what beliefs, what traditions were there, but also now, how do we integrate it into this changing world?
Yes.
It's important that that is a factor that we put in, because this ranges from a lot of things, from even the foods we eat, from the dress code, the architectural designs. I mean, there are particular cultures that are known for the way they are building their homes. The architecture is there. You go to Japan right now, and that has never changed for generations and generations. You can be in a place and you know that this is the great Japan because of that architectural design that they have continued through generations. Now, whereas that is still a factor, and if you were to go to France, their buildings, even with modernity, they have maintained their architectural design. Now, the question is, why are we trying to change ours? Why are we trying to copy that kind of design?
Yes.
Or even the dress code? We are moving away from what we are supposed to maintain. But again, it doesn't, water down the fact that we have also maintained our cultural practices. You look at the gatherings that used to be there, because culture was, dependent on some certain activities. The gatherings were meant to bring people together, to have that social kind of relation. But that is no longer there. Now we have social media. We would rather relate that way than have these social gatherings. And I think some of that, we cannot get it back. However, we can find a way of, having it included. We've moved on, and everyone knows I'm a fanatic of film and movie.
Yes.
And actually, I've seen Kenneth here integrate some of his, culture music into today's movies.
Yes.
So one way to do that is that you're talking about story about Uganda, about Emuchiga, but there are norms and cultures that Bachiga do. They have this kind of music. How about you integrate it into that movie and maintain the culture, norm within the area? You're talking about Buganda. You have a story from Buganda. How about you actually include the dance from Buganda, such that you're able to relate and people can know that, yeah, when I see this dance, I know that's a Buganda culture. That is how we get to include culture there, because you also look at the generation that is coming after. For us, maybe some of us have been privileged to have, grandmother stories or grandfather stories of what used to happen, what certain norms were like. But we have a generation coming forth, and we are unable to tell forward that story, or even, relate with it, or even show them. So how do we maintain it? It means that we have to carry on some of those activities into today's life. How do we do that? Now, there is a whole debate about dress code, and this was, a whole issue about how even musicians show up at schools,
yes,
the way they are dressed, what, picture are they portraying. But that is because we're trying to copy something that we are not. A musician sees Rihanna on stage wearing some kind of dress, and that's what they want to wear to at a school. But that is us, distancing ourselves from what is supposed to be our culture. You're going to a traditional ceremony, and you know that with this kind of ceremony, I'm supposed to be dressing like this. I need a gomesi. I need, that is what you wear to a certain ceremony.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whether you're looking at, maybe I don't look smart in a gomesi, but that is the culture there. We would rather maintain that. And I think it speaks volumes for you to even maintain your pride. We're talking about Uganda at 60.
Yes.
Are we able to be proud of what we are as Ugandans?
Well,
is kind of what we believe in.
The question is, how do we maintain cultures and customs amidst changing times? It's on our social media, Twitter. The hashtag is UBCJMU. Come on, tell us how we can do that, how we can achieve that 100%. But Kenneth, yeah, I'm very glad you join us for this conversation because you are a culture conversationist. And when we are talking about culture, there are certain elements we put into play. It has to be shared, it is learned, it can be integrated, but also it has to be dynamic. Now, from your point of view, when you look at Ugandans at all, ages, because we do have different ages right now, if we are to categorize Ugandans, do you think that we are still on the path of sharing our cultural interests, from the older generations to the younger generations? Or do you think that maybe the younger generation is a bit, it's getting off that path? Do you think we still fully believe in the culture systems of the different societies of Uganda?
Well, thank you. I think to a smaller extent, we are still observing our cultural norms and practices.
Yes.
But I may say the biggest problem could be, perhaps I could talk about the biggest challenges could be from our parents.
Yes.
Before, our parents used to have us on, fireplaces and tell us ABCD. If it was a girl, mother would tell, would have to speak to a girl privately. If it was a boy, then the father would speak to him. But we are no longer having that.
Yes.
Nowadays, it's a matter of, from school, home, WhatsApp, eat, go to bed, and that's all,
Yes, and it's the common really system now.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. Yeah. And in that cause, we are always online all the time,
yes.
And this is what we cope up because this is what we are used to, this is what we are loving, and in the due course we adopt that. But at some point we're also observing these cultural practices. I mean, some are still observing, the food, they're
yes.
still observing.
Yes.
For the clothing, for sure, I'm not so certain about that. For those who have always seen me, I've always put on a slash, and that slash in my local language we call it a bishato. And a chato, this was a cow skin, cow hide. Is it the hide or skin?
Yes.
And this was usually worn by rich people,
Yes.
And this was the suit. It was a textile suit we have of that era. So I may say, dress code. No, it has depreciated for sure.
Yeah, we're not on that line anymore.
No way, no way.
Well, coming in from the family's point of view, and I love that you raised the fact that these days family members, parents don't create enough time to have conversations, deep conversations, by the way, about culture setups, their culture setups, passing it on to their children. And maybe this is where I would really want Felix to come in. Do you think actually parents right now don't, the fact that we are a bit diverting away from our culture setups, is it mainly because that our elders in our culture setups are not doing what is supposed to be done by them to pass on these cultural understandings to the younger generations? Can we put a certain percentage of blame to them because of this?
Well, to an extent, one would say is definitely a contributor because families are the key basic compositions of whatever we learn and whatever we unlearn. Given the fact that we adhere most respect towards families. So definitely there's a direct relationship between the two. However, looking at this, in my opinion, broadly, I do take cognizance of the fact that there's a big clash between the expectation of culture and what the realities present.
Yes.
Right? For example, we need to give a definition of whether culture should be admirable in the symbolic presentations, as it were, vis-a-vis identity.
Yes.
An identity in the sense of practices and ways of life. For example, today you see a king. I've seen His Royal Highness of Toro. Is it, what's his name?
Nyonyintono
Kawamba Iguru. I've seen my most beloved king, Ronald Muwenda Mutebi of Uganda, and many others. Most of the official occasions, they don themselves in suits.
Yes.
Right? That's why I'm saying we must, if we want to maintain culture, we mustn't only look at it as a composite of carrying what was. I don't know if it comes off clear.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense for us to make an argument, for example, that we should be putting on backcloth, in as much as was a reflection of culture. But in my opinion, the argument we should have openly about culture and customs is what identities of our cultures and customs should we pass on. I gave you one of the examples that have consistently failed to pass in the 21st century about the FMG in the Sebei.
Yes.
The female genital mutilation. You understand, if you're careful to read the case of FIDA Uganda versus the Attorney General, it's a constitutional petition which scrapped off that, considering it as inhuman. There's a practice in the Chigezi region I have taken trouble to study about that. There was a time where if someone got pregnant, a girl, I hear they would be thrown over a cliff or something like that.
Yes, they would be.
There was an island that they were taken to. There's that island actually in Bunyonyi, and they were left there so that, you know, you don't associate with other people.
Yes.
Right. So that other girls, you know, can take that as an example. Yeah.
So again, I'm trying to pick on these particular practices that they have since failed to be qualified to modern times.
Yes.
But there are many practices, for example, that we must qualify. And I think times and changes help us pick out what we can go ahead with and what we can't carry on. For example, the biggest crisis we are facing lately is about tribe and language.
Yes.
Because that's the major basic identity that we all have. If someone asks you, Philo, like, okay, you say you're Ugandan, okay, and where did you come from? Why do you think they ask that other question? Having known that you're from Uganda, that's the general.
Yes.
Now we're going into the specific. Where are you from? I'm from Jinja. Now, because the specific gives identity, like the people who dwell in Jinja, if by common knowledge one would say they're probably people from Basoga, that kind of, you get it?
Yes.
Now, that should be the trouble for us to maintain. That when you ask someone, where are you from? And they say, I'm from Kisoro. They know that people in Kisoro are probably Bafumbira or Wanyaranda or whatever. That is the identity we are looking for. It has since been extinguished.
Yes.
That it is not enough for you to say that I am a Musoga. It will take someone else again to ask, Mane, do you know Lusoga? Do you have a king? Like, who's your king?
Yes.
And you know what these millennials say? Those things are...
They're not necessary.
for the village.
Still follows those
I've had these jokes around, like when someone calls someone, for example, Nyonyintono, say, Agamanya Garumbe. You've had that kind of, exactly, yeah. Like those names are not for the weekend. Those names you've had those kind of...
Yes.
And this is now an imagery of how people perceive culture and customs. That the most recent children you people have given birth to are looking at culture for the backyard.
Yes.
Today we have children called Owen Beckham. Like, what the hell is that? People are naming their children Abomiyang Philip. Really? Like, again, identity is now clashing with modernity. That we need to understand, why was it important to name a child Mastiko? And why do you think the culture the culture did demand us to have the father of the grandfather of this child name them?
The grandchildren.
We need to understand. And the reason why we are having the Owen Beckhams of this world is because we don't understand the purpose of relating identity to our cultural institutions. So I think what he says is very true about family.
Yes.
Some of these things you can't do if family doesn't foster them. Personally, I grew up in a Baganda setting, and that's all I know. Flat and square. I know what a Muganda man does, what he doesn't do, what a Muganda woman does, but all those things I saw and was told in a family setup.
Yes.
Because there is no one who will appreciate your cultural norms than you. And that's why when you find families, and I'm feeling very sad for these children of millennials, and there are very many lately. These millennials now are giving. The most recent.
You take yourself out of the picture.
I am not. I don't think I'm glad I'm not a millennial.
You can never go with us.
And honestly,
yes,
they are producing rapidly lately. And out of 10 children of millennials, you go and look for their names.
Owen Bacon's.
Yeah. Pampa Frederick.
Anyway.
You know, those kind of things. Lack of identity in terms of culture and customs.
Well,
But also
how do we
actually-
maintain cultures and customs amidst changing times? Let us know. But Mollen, we know that all these cultures are being demographied. They've been altered very, very greatly. And also, one of the things I did mention when we are talking about culture, we also have to look at the element of being able to integrate it, or being able for it to be dynamic. Now, in this setup, the setup of the millennials, the Felixes, who are in denial.
Yeah.
But yes, in the
Thank
setup, yes, in the setup of millennials, how do we get the ability to be able to strike a balance? Yes, you cannot let some of these culture systems, culture setups, cultural beliefs dictate your entire lifestyle 100%. All right, because you have to keep up with the times. Change. I mean, there is a lot of change. Yes, but also there is need for you to maintain your culture.
Yeah.
You need to know where you come from. You need to be able to identify with your culture. Now, the question here is, how do you strike a balance between the two? Whilst we are, trying to get along with the changes and trends, it's also very important to know where we come from. Like my dad always say, you need to know where you come from. You need to understand your culture setups. So how do you strike a balance between these two?
Well, I think we all have to go back to the basics. Yes, we appreciate that the times have changed, and that is a real fact. And I think we are also not helping. We can sit here and blame it on the millennials, but we've also adapted. And Felix will be giving that kind of submission, and he's the same one who will name each and every one in his family, all his kids, Nkunda. They're like the Nkundas. But you see, earlier, we used to give names depending on a particular kind of lifestyle that was there at the time. Maybe you're naming this child on what happened at that moment, how you feel about it. But now we've adopted a culture where we're naming the same name for the family. And just because they're my child, they take up my name. You don't know why your mother or father named you that in the first place. So I think we've moved away from some of these things, and we've gotten okay, we've modernized it. So what? I'm still naming my child Kenyana, but yes, it's culture, but is that the purpose why your parents named you that?
Yes.
Do you give this child an identity? I think that's where we're going wrong. However, we need to go back to the basics. And I'm glad that we're bringing in family. The first thing, how you emphasize culture, is family. I'll give you an example. We have had, let me take an example of Kampala. You have a lot of tribes in Kampala. But how do you teach your children that are being born in the city to learn their languages? Because language is a huge part of culture. And, but we are having these kids and we're teaching them English. And when they're lucky to go out and interact with their friends, they learn the Luganda now. But you, the mother and father, you both, Banyankole, you both are Cholis. But because you're home, you want this child, to look nice or maybe be better in school, you think that you should speak English at home. And that way they're losing on the language aspect. But how about your home? You can, when you speak your language, because children actually have the ability to get all the languages at a particular age. Speak your Acholi at home, let them learn that, because obviously they're going to learn the English at school.
Yes.
And with relating to different, tribes, they're going to learn other languages. But we have taken it upon ourselves to actually emphasize English at home and taking on the English
Do you know that there are
tradition.
children who, parents actually, who take pride in the fact that their children cannot speak their mother tongues?
Which is sad.
It's so embarrassing.
Which is very sad.
Even the old parents, by the way, they'll tell you, my children cannot speak their mother tongue. My children cannot understand this language.
I know those
like,
people.
okay with this.
You want me to tell you who they are?
But my point is, we are encouraging it because I still know a lot of kids that have, like the kids in my family, they're in Kampala, but they know Lunyankole because at home we've made it a point to be like, we're at home, Lunyankole. And if you hear them speak English, the one thing they learn from school, they're okay. They're doing, and that's how we also learned. My knowing my mother tongue and Luganda doesn't stop me from knowing the clear English that it's supposed to be. So I think we need to just reflect on the fact that these are things that we can do, the basics. And we can sit here and say, you know what, we still need, we had that fireplace that, you know, we used to tell stories. That's no longer the culture, but as a modern family, introduce those gatherings. At home, you have children that have come back for holidays. But you as the father or mother, you come home and you're also on social media. How are they going to cope up with whatever beliefs you have in the family? Have that aside as, you know, maybe a family dinner, and you're able to continue that conversation, have some of the stories, let them know about their roots. That's how we can move on the tradition. And also you look at, I think mostly at a national level, we do put up cultural events, or, you know, like recently we're doing the Miss Tourism across regions. But then what I saw at the end of the whole pageantry, the regions they got to actually come and compete for the real prize, when the final competitions, you would see them dressing up in different kind of wares. For me, I would have expected that, yes, you've gotten this Miss Tourism from what are they bringing the culture within Banyoro into the pageantry at a national level? Is that what you're judging? But I think we're also moving on to, you know, the English setting of pageantry. We are not encouraging culture at that level, and that's how we can integrate it. Let us be able to bring those into everyday activities that we're doing at all levels, and we can get there.
Yes. Felix, you're saying something?
Yeah, Kaka, just kind of let me say this lastly. When you talk about, just picking it from what you said, in Luganda we have a saying that what the Nirigambo the biggest stewards in this argument, or discussion, and conversation is our overall institution, which is government. There was a time in school, some of us were beaten for speaking our mother tongue.
Or you were made to wear that bone.
A gumba, a
that ridiculous bone.
You know, and then you pass it on to everyone, so they bring you all up in the
I
evening.
wore that bone, I don't know how many times.
You get the thing, and then they keep on asking you, a gumba to wali demoled, wali Felix. But you know, then the nigger comes. I don't know why deputies are the ones who like taking charge of funny things. The deputy comes. They put you down, they're beating you. But they're beating you against your own identity. Can you imagine?
I think that is all wrong.
Can you imagine? Like, you wake up one day and you're beating someone for speaking their mother tongue.
Yes, Kenneth.
That guy needs to go to prison.
And you know, actually, the guys that used to speak a lot of, you know, vernacular, like they would put it, were the best performers in class. Look at the sciencers, we've got the sciencers.
She said something good about me.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to believe that maybe English didn't actually contribute a lot to the education.
I want to believe that the mode of punishment was a bit so heavy for whatever it is they were punishing.
You know, it still happens.
At the back of their minds, maybe because you're in a communal setup, these are children who are coming in from different societies. So maybe for clear communication.
Let everyone speak their language. We shall sort ourselves from there. They are Chori, they were Nyankole, they were Ghana. We shall sort ourselves.
As we are winding up, what are your parting shots of this?
A friend of mine say it's tradition that makes international. And to my point of view, surely, first thing is, do we really enjoy this culture? Do we really enjoy this culture? If yes, then is it because we've lacked people to mentor us, or maybe to tell us maybe if you are going to marry, you should do so and so. You should do this ABCD.
Yes.
If you are going to maybe visit relatives, you do this and this. You know, we have a saying that when you're going to visit someone, your elbows should face in the front.
Yes.
Literally meaning you should go carrying something. You know, was it bad?
It wasn't.
I mean, you know, like simple things like that have really depreciated, and there were things that identified us. For example, Bachiga, we're very well known for growing food, but we're no longer growing food. Surely I may say that cultural practice has done what? Has depreciated, and we can see where we are now.
Yeah.
Then another thing I would want to talk about is the friends we have.
Yes.
Yeah. Most of the friends we have nowadays, they call you which fin. I don't know whether you understand that. If I say Golifada, you know,
you're local.
You're local. And who wants to be local?
And who wants to associate with a local person? Yes.
But surely I'll tell you, there is a reason why someone in Russia comes to Uganda, or someone in America comes to Uganda to learn.
Yes.
To tour, to
understand
listen,
different cultures.
Yeah, to listen to the music we play, to eat the food, meaning that there is a gist in these practices
that
we
people
do.
call local.
That the people call local. And my submission would be, we should observe these things, because whoever colonized our mind that the Western things are perfect and our things are local, my friend, you lied to us. You lied to us.
Well, it's good to be local. Go be local. There is nothing wrong with being local, all right, as very many people want to. And as a parent, please stop making it look like it's a good thing for your child not to know. I really have a personal problem, because I've seen very many parents that take pride in their children not knowing mother tongue. That's nonsense. I'm going to tell you that.
I think it
and do
starts
better.
with each and every one of us, because while we preach it, I think we should all be able to do these things. Me, I should be able to mentor my kids the way I want. If I'm saying this language is going to be learned at home, go do your English outside at school, but when you're at home, you're going to speak Lunyakole. I should be able to emphasize that. And this is how you're going to get kids. Let's not tag it as maybe local and think that English is the way to go. It's absurd. And it's a shame, actually.
How do we maintain cultures and customs amidst changing times? Get onto our Twitter, #UBCGMU. Go on, share your thoughts, your opinions, and we'll be sharing them with the rest of the family. For now, we're going for a short break. When we get back, still more to unpack for you right here on Good Morning Uganda Friday Special.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! go! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show, because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed, and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions, plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Hey, it's time to play. Let's go! We're glad you came. Because we love to share. Let's have some fun. What should we try next? With everyone. Because we love to learn together. Making new friends forever. Sesame Street friends.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda Friday special, starting the press review right now, looking at the Daily Monitor. The big stories in that paper, you'll be expecting Wonder Ebola drugs cure 20 patients. And this definitely will be bringing in some good news. Among the beneficiaries are 5 health workers that the health ministry discharged on Wednesday after recovering from the deadly Ebola virus disease. The development brings a sigh of relief as government steps up efforts to fight the highly contagious disease. Terror scare, the CMI hold 2 doctor on the run. Why? Well, get yourself the Daily Monitor this morning. Bobby defends his ties with Jamil Mukulu, another story you ought to look out for. And still in more stories, 70 witnesses set to testify against King Mumbere, and government to recruit about 5,000 workers to fight malaria. That is for you in the Daily Monitor this morning. Crossing over to the New Vision, still more big stories over there, and 5 years in jail for social media abuse. Clearly, this has had quite very many Ugandans say a lot on social media and causing a bit of anxiety. But we'll also have to find a way to deal with that. Now, Museveni signs computer misuse bill and 3 others into law. Look out for more of those in the New Vision. Kampala flyover 71% complete. So as you can see, there is just a small percentage left for us to be fully in use when it comes to this flyover. And there is a picture over there showing how far the progress of this work. And look out for the abridged curriculum for your O-level students. Now, meet Harvest Money judges for the 2022 competition. It's also there. And looking at UNEB, it is to withhold fees defaulters results. Many more stories in the New Vision this morning. Crossing over to Kenya, the Daily Nation. Ruto recalls Moi's cars and staff. Now we're looking at a change. Former President Kenyana had granted grace period. Now this is a new order. President Ruto's administration has withdrawn government vehicles and other public assets, redeployed workers, and scaled down security at former President Moi's homes. And lawyers censure Haji on dropped cases. Looking at a president reorganizes government, takes charge of budget policy and economic affairs. one thing for sure is that from what we are seeing, William Ruto is not here to play. Now, Kiraitu Murungi, this is how we in Azimio lost the election, and they're giving you quite a detailed report on what they think they did wrong or what they think was done wrong and how they came to losing this election that recently just ended. The Daily Nation, Daily Monitor, New Vision, get yourself copies of these three papers to see what's happening in Uganda across the Ugandan borders as well. But for now, we're going to the more... For now, we are getting into a performance coming in from our guest this morning. That is Nahawe Kenneth, a cultural conversationist. Well, what are you doing for us at the second one? What was the first performance though that you gave us?
The first performance was saying Kunirabajenyi.
Host your guest, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I said Ijondari.
You can come and spend over. Maybe you should give me a gig so that I can be able to interpret for you.
Yeah. You're doing great.
Yeah, so this one is Kunirabajenyi.
So this one, this one is Nimwije Tuzane.
Okay.
Come, let's have fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Come, let's have fun, because indeed that is what we do here on Good Morning Uganda Friday Special. Please take us away.
Yamwana ngwe yekeiri batamukaga majengo nina yambiro teta ali muhabura nkeikarara nkahumuriza nkagwejejera nyewe Kenneth nabwe mwene kajya bashisha wangambe neza wamaganya keiri batamukaga majengo nari bataka sinde katengatenga nari bataka kandi katengatenga bakunda banyito mwana wo mugwani Choni mwarire yego Choni mwarire tuzane Choni mwarire yego Choni mwarire nchindo mawe Ni mwarire nchindo tuzane Mwigura marembo mawe Nimwigura marembo mawe Engoma nemikuri bigambe Engaro nengoma bizumere Empundu nengoma wabo Nimwije tuzane mawe Ewe choni mwarire yego Choni mwarire nchindo mawe Choni mwarire bishato yabarira Nimwije tuzane mawe Nimwije tuzane yabarira Oruko tibabe mawe Uko jumere iwesho yanje Choni mwarire ngoma mawe Choni mwarire ngoma tuzane Yekeri batamukaga majingo niyambi uruteta ali muhabura nkeikarara nkahumuriza nkagwejejera yakashaka makanga myambe itabantu kagwana rukonda gwa wawe nari bataka sinde katenga nari bataka kandi katenga bakunda banyito mwana wo mugwani ati kashaka makanga myambe itabantu yibari Mwarire ngoma mawe Ni mwarire ngoma tuzane Yarema we Mwize twere mure Kashaka mabare Gibaka bagabira Yanarabo mu masinde Egacweke mitabiro Yanarabo mu mozi Egacweke bitanga Yanarabo mu rukwiju Ibyacweko rubingo Aye amataka Yechambu changaramanira ijuga Yechambu chiba chapagabira Yewe nabando sirengwe nengya Yewe wakanyanya nibajita Yewe waera washorubariye Wayandurura washencherere ayereme ayaremirewa bochinde mondo we aye ahu everybody.
This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift, buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, a very special Friday indeed. Of course, we unpack a lot for you now. That was beautiful music. You should have seen the chitaguru that was going on around here. I mean, yes, that's a good way to actually get into the mood with that kind of tradition and the kutagura in there. But while at it, we also give you the weather updates, know what is happening across the country in terms of weather, and of course, what will be happening for the weekend. Now, looks like from the satellites, we're actually depicting much more of cloudy weather starting to develop, especially across the southwestern part of the country. That is where we do expect more rains to come through this morning, and also most of that will be crossing over into the afternoon. We're also seeing mostly parts of central that are starting to have those rainy systems developing, and that means that we could also be looking at rainy conditions for most areas within central. Otherwise, we're also remaining with quite a sunny morning for much of northern Uganda. Now, from the satellites, you can see the ones with those red colors or orange and green colors. That is where we do expect more rains to start across. Now, we're seeing that system that is starting to develop, that one over central, that is likely to bring in rains, especially for areas within parts of Ruwero. You look at Wobulenzi, that system might also continue into Kampala. You look at areas of Mukono as well. We could be looking at rains for much of this morning, but also over a few areas. And we do have mostly cloudy weather developing across the western parts of Lake Victoria, across Mubende, across Masaka. You're looking at Mbara as well with mostly cloudy weather for this morning. We do have a few of those rains that are also expected for southwestern Uganda, across areas within Kabale as well. You look at Fort Portal starting off with a mix of clouds and sunshine, mostly cloudy weather for now. now, and we could be looking at more rains coming through for today. Otherwise, Hoima, Masindi, we're starting off with a sunny morning. Same conditions for Arua, much of northwestern Uganda, Gulu as well, Kitgum, Padel, Moria, Soroti. We're looking at mostly a sunny morning for you, quite hot weather over there, and we're also looking at a very warm morning for Moroto, Kotido, and that is also similar weather when it comes to Mount Elgon Highlands. We're looking at Mbali right there, also with mostly sunny conditions for this morning, and also same conditions are actually prevailing across mostly the eastern side of Lake Victoria Basin. We're looking at areas of Tororo, Jinja. We do have a few clouds though that are starting to develop across Jinja, and of course that will be bringing in a little bit of rains, especially for the eastern side of Lake Victoria for this morning, but also most of those systems might reappear later in the afternoon. And you look at mostly the southern sector of the country, this is where we do have most clouds, meaning that there are possibilities of having more rains over there as we look at today, and much more of the weather conditions that will be going on as we continue with the morning. But also mostly northern Uganda continues with that sunny weather, and of course the warmth as well. Temperatures are within 27. You're looking at 26 for mostly areas around Lake Choga, Lira over there. You might be having a pleasant morning for you. We also have mostly a 27 that is across central northern Uganda. We're talking about Gulu, Kitgum. You're talking about mostly areas within West Nile as well. It looks like we could be starting off with quite a warm 26 degrees centigrade as well. But also the eastern lowlands, looking at Bukedia, Palisa, Budaka, quite a pleasant morning for you. You do have rains in the forecast for this morning, but it will be quite a warm morning over there. We're also looking at a continuation of sunny intervals across eastern Choga, that is across areas of Serere. You look at Amuria, Kabinamaido, Kumi. Over there, it looks like you're going to have a warm morning for you as well. Northern Choga, you look at West Nile as well. Southwestern Uganda, across Mbarara, across Boshenyi, you look at most of those areas most likely to continue with sunny conditions with intervals of cloudy conditions, but much of that will also be developing into rainy conditions later in the afternoon. Now, looking at what we could be looking at over the weekend as we head into Saturday, we are looking at a reducing trend when it comes to rains. We're forecasting mostly dry weather for the Karamoja region. Now, do expect to have mostly sunny weather over there. Now, if you're traveling towards Karamoja or much of northeastern and eastern Uganda, be ready for mostly dry and sunny conditions. That's one to prepare for, and at a time like this, I would advise that you really have a bottle of water with you just to cope up with most of that sunny weather. Now, same conditions for southwestern Uganda. If you're headed towards Mbarara, Kabale, you look at areas within Fort Portal, and of course much of southwestern Uganda, Ibanda, we're looking at sunny weather for your Saturday. So also, if you're headed over there or if you live around there, you might want to prepare for much of the sun. Now, also quite a reduction for the Lake Victoria Basin, actually, where we see the open white colors there over the map. That is where we're saying there will be reduced rainy conditions. Now, that takes in areas within Wakiso as well, Mukono. You look at areas within parts of Entebbe, Kampala, we could be looking at a reducing trend when it comes to rains. Now, if you have any outdoor activities and you have to choose between Saturday and Sunday, I say Saturday is looking much more of convenience. But not to mention that usually with the Lake Victoria Basin, there are those rains that do originate from the lake, which is why we're seeing a little bit of light colors, right, light blue colors right there over Lake Victoria. So those rains will be there, but also mostly over the islands and a few areas within the Lake Victoria Basin, but nothing much to really ruin your day, because those rains even then will be in smaller quantities. Now, there are lighter blue colors as well, still over northern Uganda and West Nile, meaning that we will continue with those rains for mostly parts of Arua, Yumbe, Gulu, Kitgum. We might be looking at a little bit of rains, but also in smaller quantities according to the lighter colors there. Same for Midwestern Uganda. If you look at that light blue across Lake Albert and towards parts of Central, so we could be looking at a little bit of rains, but also in smaller quantities. Now, continuation for Mount Elgon Highlands across Budu, Duda, Mbale, and also areas towards Budaka. We could be looking at a little bit of light rains, but also those will be in smaller quantities. Now, as we head into Sunday, that is when we expect more rains to pick up, especially for areas around western Uganda. Now, we see some of the rainy systems actually starting to develop across Kabale and also parts of Fort Portal. We do see rains that will be continuing over parts of Masindi, and also West Nile continues with those rains. Same for central northern Uganda, while we're looking at more pickup in terms of wet weather conditions. But again, with the open white colors right there on the map, that is indicative of drier conditions. So we will continue with sunny conditions across areas of southwestern Uganda, Mbarara, Bushenyi, Ibanda, Rubirizi. We could be looking at a little bit of reduction in terms of wet weather conditions. Same for the western parts of Lake Victoria. We're talking about Masaka, Rengo, Zimbabwe. You're going to have mostly dry weather, and also for the eastern part of Lake Victoria Basin, the open colors, open white colors right there. You're looking at areas of Tororo, Jinja. You could be looking at also dry conditions. So if you do have activities to do within Sunday over those areas, it's going to be quite a clear day for you. But also across Karamoja region, eastern Uganda, Muria, areas of Soroti, Serere right there, will be continuing those sunny conditions on Sunday, meaning that that is also one to prepare for. And also a little bit towards Midwestern, the Lake Choga region. You look at the southern side across Kabera Maido as well. We will continue with those mostly sunny conditions, and we'll have a little bit of rains coming through towards Midwestern Uganda. Masindi will continue with that. And also we're looking at a few rains that are still expected over the islands of Lake Victoria that will be continuing, but also it will be in smaller quantities. So much to say is that generally there's going to be a slight reduction in wet weather activities. And of course, for this time of the year, that is attributed to the changes within the pressure systems over the oceans that normally affect our weather. Now, when those systems are, relatively weak, it means they cannot influence much rains over the country. And of course, that is why we're seeing a slight reduction. But when those weaknesses go away, when we start to see strength in the high pressure systems, also because of the, ocean systems, then we will be starting to see more rains picking up, because the rainy season is still on. We do expect those rains to come through, especially for areas around along western Uganda, where we've had continuous rains. We've also seen continuous rains across the southern sector generally, so that season will still continue, and we're looking at late December when we have a general reduction as we head towards our dry season. Well, that is it in terms of weather updates for this morning, but we do have more coming your way. We'll be coming in with entertainment news. You need to know where to actually catch your weekend, what plot is out there, and also a lot more that we're going to unpack for you later. We'll also be giving you sports highlights, so you cannot afford to miss this. We take a short break. We'll be back.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149 *10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149 *10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149 *10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Effects of climate change are glaring. We have floods, landslides, drought, food insecurity. His Excellency the President has been very passionate about this, and he has explained the effect of destroying our natural resources, especially the wetlands, and cutting the forests. As Cabinet, as government, we have approved a 10 years restoration program. We are going to provide alternative sources of livelihood, and the call is that people should leave the wetlands. And we have started from today evicting people from Lubiji wetlands, and we are going to roll out the whole country. Our prayer is that those who have not yet been reached, please live peacefully. We are going to provide alternative source of livelihood as a government. Those who are still engaged in manufacturing and selling the plastic, especially the illegal non-buveras. We are going to close onto them. They are also a menace to our country. We look forward very soon having sodas back in the breakable bottles rather than the plastics which are being thrown all over to litter. I want to call upon Ugandans, let's conserve and let's use sustainably our natural resources. I thank you.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Programme.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it is still Friday, and of course, we come in with entertainment. You want to know where to go for this weekend, and of course, we do give you movie tips on where you can catch some of these. Now, there has been a very interesting movie going on just these days in cinema. That is a Ugandan movie, and guess what? This is a very beautiful, beautiful story that I think as every Ugandan you should be proud that we can develop such stories. Now, the movie is called Core, and of course it takes you through a story of a fight for justice in the face of power. Now the fight hijacks a young naive lawyer, and of course that is Sandra Atika Alexis, who finds herself at the center of all this drama. Now the question is, when this is happening, what is their goal? How does she even get out of this? And of course, the interesting part is that a lot of these are actually scenes in Uganda. And of course, we do have the amazing actress Mariam Ndagile, who is playing Aisha in the movie. And of course, also you do have a British-Nigerian actor, that is Kalu Ikeago. Now, this man is known for a lot of movies like that has been featuring both on the African scenes, but also in some of the Hollywood movies that he has been featured in. And of course, he's also a Nollywood Movie Award winner for the Best Actor in the Leading Role. That is Kafa right there that we have in the movie that is telling a story about justice in Uganda. He's known for mostly movies like Broken, Light of the Dark, that is also movies like The Kinsman that he has featured in. And of course, you also have a lot of amazing actors coming in from Uganda. You do have Abi Muchibi right there as well, playing as Nkanga. We have Laura Kihunde, who is also playing right there in the movie. You have Doreen Mirembe, quite a very interesting one. Let's take a look into the trailer.
Say you helped slay a monster, or will you say you helped create one? I swear by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give concerning the matter before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
They will come looking for you now.
Mr. Vice President, how do you feel right?
I know I'm not what you wanted, but if the worst comes to worst and you need stuck with me, I'll give it everything I've got.
Cedric is not who you think he is. People come into power, they guess to their heads.
The president would like to address all the rumors going around that there was an assassination attempt on the vice president at his home of residence.
Sacrifices have to be made when they have to be made. The Arima I know cannot believe that.
Don't let anger cloud your judgment.
You will find your witness and present him to the clerk. Until then, court strikes this affidavit from evidence.
All those who want to harm me because I'm fighting for the good of this nation are welcome to do so. Do not let your naivety put you on the wrong side of this fight. Wonder! Many people have died trying to protect me, but this stops here.
My priority remains the safety and the well-being of you, the public interest.
Kalu Ikiwagu right there, bringing in the Nigerian kind of vibe into a Ugandan movie. Very interesting. And of course, that is one that is still out there and you can catch that movie. But also looking at one that is actually streaming right today. It is coming out today on Netflix. And if you love horrors, if you love the adventure in a horror movie, get ready to be scared of, but not really scared of, because you have a story that is telling of what is likely to happen to you in reality. But of course, there is fiction in there as well. The movie is called The Curse of the Bridge Hollow. Now, this is adventure, it's comedy, a little bit of a horror, but you know, much of it is comedy and adventure. Now, in this story, they give you a man and his daughter must team up to save their town after an accident. And of course, the mischievous spirit causes Halloween decorations to come to life and wreak havoc. Now, in the middle of celebrations for Halloween, a lot is coming up. You see a sculpture that is coming to life. How do you deal with that? Is this a curse? How are they likely to also go into this story? Now, the movie features Marlon Wayans. This is, he's very much known for his role in movies like The Little Man. He has also played, made an appearance in a series called Single Ladies, the guy who was always friendly to those ladies. And of course, he has also been featuring in a lot of movies within Netflix, but also more of the Marvel movies, actually, where he has made an appearance. You also have actresses like Priya Ferguson. Now, Priya Ferguson is known for her role in Stranger Things, and also recently came out in season 4 of Stranger Things. You have Kelly Rowland. Of course, much more of that story being told within the daughter-father relationship and how they're saving their town. Let's take a look into that trailer.
Man named Stingy Jack. He died in your house.
Hello? So I might live in a haunted house? This place just got a lot cooler. Whoa. You guys are not gonna believe this. Stingy Jack tricked me into finding his old lantern. And now the Halloween decorations are coming to life.
Come on, Sid. That's just not something that happens. Sid, they're just actors. I don't think you're allowed to touch me unless I sign a waiver. Oh! They aren't actors! Repeat! The clowns are not actors!
They have completely taken over Bridge Hollow. If we can't stop Jack by midnight...
Every day will be Halloween.
This is our house. We are not about to die here.
You know what you could do to something that's real?
Booyah!
You can kick its ass.
Hey, Sid, you know what the chainsaw was originally called? A bone cutter. Yes! Go! What's wrong with you? Why would you do?
Very interesting right there, and of course that is one that is streaming right today on Netflix, and of course other movie sites that will be also showing the movie. But now this one, actually, if you love superhero movies and the action and fantasy, the adventure in a movie, you will enjoy Black Adam. Now this movie is actually slated to come out soon, but they have just officially released the second trailer of the movie. And of course, it tells a story of an ancient Kardak, Death Adam, who was bestowed the almighty powers of the gods. Now, after using these powers for vengeance, he was actually imprisoned, becoming a Black Adam. Now, nearly 5,000 years, he has gone from being a story, from a man to myth to legend. But now that he is free after all those years, his unique form of justice, born out of rage, is challenged by modern-day heroes who form the Justice Society. Now, if you have watched movies, a series like Legends of Tomorrow, you've seen the story about the Justice Society, also some of the DC movies that have featured most of these stories. Now, Black Adam is also another hero that is coming on scene, bringing with him the legend, the myth, and of course now, what does he do after all the things that were told to him? Does he live up to the standards? And of course, this role is being played by Dwayne Johnson. Now, you know him to be a lot with when it comes to action. He has featured in movies like Central Intelligence. He has also featured, of course, in the Fast and Furious series of movies. And of course, it also features actresses like Sarah Shahi, who is playing right there as Isis. But you also have Noah Cantineo, who is playing as Atom, and of course most of that within much more of this movie. Let's take a look into the trailer.
Who's on the team? I didn't bring a passport.
We don't need passports. We're the Justice Society.
There's a war going on outside when you ain't safe from.
Black Adam.
We're here to negotiate your peaceful surrender.
Heard about at least 3 killings this afternoon.
I'm not peaceful. Nor do I surrender. Here we go. I kneel before no one.
You didn't come here to seek justice. You came to exact revenge.
I never said I was a hero.
Giving you respect, I expect the same thing.
You believe you are not worthy, but fate does not make mistakes.
I'm fighting for you. There's a war going on outside when you ain't safe from.
You have two paths. You can be the destroyer of this world. Or you can be its savior.
Very soon coming to cinema, and of course telling a story of a man who doesn't believe he's a hero. He is a god, born in vengeance, but now he has to do good. And of course now he has to also learn to work with a team. How is that like? But also confronting his past. That is a story of the Black Adam. Now, we're seeing a lot of hero movies, superhero movies coming up, and of course the action that it tells. But I think this one actually, you see how Warner Bros. Pictures has outdone itself with the pictorial and of course the characters that come with it. This is one that I'm looking out for now. I don't know about you, Philomena, but this movie is something else. It just teams up with, you know, all these powerful movies that we've been seeing lately, right from The Woman King, and now we can brace ourselves for the Black Adam.
And
wow.
If you ask me, the only reaction I get from this movie, I feel like it's a brutal, adrenaline-fueled kind of movie. Like it has you on your toes and you're wondering. It makes you feel like you can do some of these things. But also, it's quite interesting how people love to be perceived as gods. I don't know what's it with people and wanting to feel like they're gods. Well, in this movie, it's clearly put out there. Yes, he's a god, but also working with a team. Gods feel like they can do it all. They don't need help. They don't need anyone to come in and interject. They feel like they have got it covered. But at the end of the day, when reality sets in, you will have to work with those people.
So unless you're the almighty God, at one point it will set in and you'll have to work with the team. But I think it also works better. If you look at most of the superhero series, they have had to have, like, you know, the Flash. You look at even the Black Panther.
Oh, yes.
You have a team. He has a team that does support most of these Marvel superhero movies. There's always a team that supports the superhero. So I think that is one to actually go for. But also, in case you want yourself a good read and looking out for which book you can catch this weekend, and of course, you know, be inspired. This is an inspirational one. Now, the book is titled "It Starts With You." Well, I find this very motivational, very inspirational. And of course, we're talking about a book by Colin Hoover. Now, this is one of the best sellers in 2022. And of course, top reads on Amazon, top reads on Google users. And of course, it has gotten a lot of rating, 5/5 from Waterstones and 4.6/5 from the Goodreads. Now, it takes you through a story, and they're saying before it ends with us, it must start with us. And of course, it starts with Atlas. Now, Colin Hoover tells a fan favorite Atlas side of the story and shares what's next in the long-anticipated sequel of Glorious and Touching. Of course, based on most of the stories that do come out with what Colin Hoover has actually been writing about. And now with this movie, with this book, sorry, they take you through the all eventualities of life. Now, how do you cope with that? How do you move a situation that is a little bit of problematic into finding a solution? It's a solution-based kind of read. If you want to inspire yourself, it's something that you've been trying to do and you feel like maybe I can wait another time. How do you start? When you start and there is a little bit of here and there not working out, how do you move through? Are you able to set it forward to achieve that goal? Now, it can't end with you. Of course, they take you through an adventure of different people going through a lot of stuff. And of course, at the end of the day, what do they achieve? That is something that I cannot tell you, but it is within that book. You can get it, of course, online. And there's a lot of reviews that are coming in from this book. And I find it very inspirational for me. So I think it is one that anyone would want to go for. And among the top reads, actually. And of course, if you know some of the books from Colin Hoover, they're always with that touch of family, adventure, but also inspirational. That is one you can go for. And of course, this weekend also you look at some of the events happening post or after the independence celebrations. I think we really had a blast, Philomena, here during the independence. Of course, one of the, I think, favorite events that happened was the Afro Paloza,
yes,
which brought in a lot of artists in Uganda and East Africa. And I was amazed at, this morning we're talking about culture, but I was amazed at how people were dressed. I saw the Sauti Sol wearing certain kind of trousers. I was like, wow.
I couldn't understand, but all I know is that they have like they have a trace to African heritage. When I saw their trousers, I couldn't comprehend what they were, but at least I know that for sure. But the Afropalooza was doing really, it did really quite well, especially when it comes to the culture of Uganda. People really kind of, they embraced it so much. And even that Independence Day, by the way, Mollen, I saw people cladded. I was somewhere for a game and I did see people come in with their traditional wear. I'm like, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. So, yeah, there are still people who are still doing a good job at taking pride in their culture. So.
Well, I think we can continue to showcase that. And of course, me, I take pride. If you're going out and going to have such an event, both for artists and someone going there, I think it would be good to have that touch of, you know, where you come from. And I see people taking pride in that. You saw a lot of people even, you know, putting Ugandan colors on face paints and everywhere. And I was like, wow, this is the vibe. This is the kind of vibe that we need. And I don't know.
For a minute, we forgot all about our problems and we just decided to be in the moment.
Yes, continue with the spirit. Do it this weekend. And of course, obviously, we will be back here on Monday and get you much more of that. So while we give you tips for the weekend, but also look out for yourself, promote Uganda in whatever you do. If you're going to move from one place to the other, make sure you're also taking your culture with you so that, you know, you can share it. I mean, there is a famous saying that says, sharing is caring. So for this weekend, look out for sharing, look out for caring, but also go to church. That's a message that Philomena always likes to pass.
Yes, while we are in the enjoyments, upon the enjoyments, you can always have to, you know, drag God in it somewhere, somehow. But also while you are at it, make sure that you are a bit very cautious because we're still fighting Ebola. Much as it hasn't yet projected in Kampala, we do have some cases from contacts that came in from Mubende. So be careful out there. We're going for a break. When we get back, we still have a lot coming in. Sports updates with Ruben Mpima Chibirango.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
They are built very strong, small houses, but at a low cost. You have not been given land to farm it, each one with his plot, but farm together so that the farm is, you can plow together. So, mwanyara navi were abalinde. Thank you.
Pick of the day on UBC.
If I'm looking at issues of taxation and all that, I will definitely run for the Kateshumbas. Okay? Okay. If I look at, if I'm looking at issues of investments and what, I would definitely run. I would definitely run for Dr. Emure Kugonza and Honorable Omara. Okay. If I'm looking at issues of the law, I will run for our very, very own people. I have the Oboso bosses, I have the Katuntus, I have the Robin Arwakojos. So everyone is talented in one way or another.
Did you mention Katuntu?
Okay. Yes.
Is he yours?
Yes, he is.
Yours as in NRM?
He is.
Was brought to you by.
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
Effects of climate change are glaring. We have floods, landslides, drought, food insecurity. His Excellency the President has been very passionate about this, and he has explained the effect of destroying our natural resources, especially the wetlands and cutting the forests. As Cabinet, as government, we have approved a 10 years restoration program. We are going to provide alternative sources of livelihood, and the call is that people should leave the wetlands. And we have started from today evicting people from Lubiji wetlands, and we are going to roll out the whole country. Our prayer is that those who have not yet been reached, please live peacefully. We are going to provide alternative source of livelihood as a government. Those who are still engaged in manufacturing and selling the plastic, especially the illegal non-buveras, we are going to close onto them. They are also a menace to our country. We look forward very soon having sodas back in the breakable bottles rather than the plastics which are being thrown all over to litter. I want to call upon Ugandans, let's conserve and let's use sustainably our natural resources. I thank you.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Programme.
An action-packed weekend. That's what to expect this weekend. Of course, a lot will be happening in so many sports disciplines, from the rugby sevens to the finals of basketball. And today is actually the D-Day. Whoever thinks we are going to have draws and whatever, it won't happen like that. We will be having the National Basketball Finals, but the Oilers take on the Blazers. That is in the best of 7 series. The series are tied 3-3. Then UCU Cannon, Lady Cannons take on JKL Dolphins. So today, whoever is looking for a plot, you can be in Lugogo. Be there as early as 5 and get to catch the games. But of course, starting with the Blazers, I think and expect them to continue that rich vein of form. In the last couple of games, they have really been on fire. They won 2 in a row that tied the series to 3-3. And but somebody was telling me, actually, I was talking to Derek Begumisa, saying that he thinks the Blazers might pour a hot and cold today or this evening. But I don't think it might happen their way. But reason being, you can't lose 3 games in a row. And the Oilers know how to negotiate a final. So before I go into that, I will tell you one thing, that all the last 7 championships they have won, they have swept power. The first championship they won was 4-3 against the Falcons in 2013. Those are the Oilers. So since then, they have never looked back. They swept power the following year. That was 4-0. Then 2015, they beat the Cannons. That was a 4-3, the famous final at YMCA where Desmond lost his head. And that's, of course, the rest is history. They swept KIU. They did beat the Cannons again. So, much as we would love to see the Namongo Blazers win, but the Oilers have enough in their tank to demolish the Blazers. I don't see the Blazers putting up resistance against the Oilers. Yes, Game 5 and Game 6 might have been easier for them, but Game 7 is going to be a tough call. I mean, just imagine Koma turning on the style. As he might be a veteran, but he's so experienced that he might not want to bow out without a championship. So that Oilers team has a lot of champions. They have a lot in them as in terms of winning a championship, and I don't see any. I know but the Blazers have collected a few rejects from so many clubs, from Chris Omanye to the man who used to play for Warriors, that is Saida Misi. He used to play with Michael Buzangu. Where is Buzangu, by the way? He was one of the best players I've watched from, actually one of the best imports from Congo, Michael Buzangu. So they also had Marco Pio at Warriors. Saida Miss played with Marco Pio, played with Sidas Chiviri, played with Stephen Okias when he was leaving. Okay, Okias was on his way out. Same applies to Ronnie Kaseu. He played with so many players at Chambago Warriors. Now he plays for the Blazers. He plays with Chris Omanye. I think Chiviri is back at the Blazers. I'm just thinking, I don't know. But the main players in this game, if the Blazers want to win it, if they want to take, they have got to play as a team. Individuals will not take part in tonight's final. They've got to play as a team, defending numbers and attacking numbers. You don't leave spaces for the Oilers. Once you create space and a gap, or if you let them lead by 4-5 points in the third quarter, you're done. You cannot recover. So they need to start immediately. And stopping them, you force them into foul play. That's the only way you can stop the Oilers from winning their 8th championship in 8 years. Wow. That's such a dominance can only be found in Uganda, not anywhere else. And when you have the money here, you can always win a championship in terms of sport. But anyway, the other side of the ladies, the Lady Cannons take on the JKO Dolphins. I mean, the Cannons came back after disappointing a couple of rounds in terms of games. Now, the Cannons team, I had a message here. Somebody was asking me about the Cannons team, the ladies team that played, I think against the A1 Challenge. The team that had Vilma Cheng, the big center, and then they had Rita Imanishimwe and Nansovia. They had a great team, by the way. They really, Nick had a great ladies team. But for me, the big center was Vilma Cheng. Vilma would shield off any player. She was so tall and big that in the paint you could not control her. Today, yeah, you only see small players for UCU, small and short. I don't see them having a resistance against the Dolphins. But you know, a game is a game. Any player can turn on his style. But the Vilma Cheng team had a lot of talent and physical part of the game. I mean, Vilma would control anybody in that paint. The same applies to Imanishimwe. Rita could shoot from any angle, from anywhere around the paint, around the D. Today it's a different ball game. Anyway, but of course, away from basketball, the games will be on in Lugogo, but as well, we have a big one in Mutesatu Stadium. That's the local derby, SC Texon Express. For the first time in so many years, SC host Express at Wanguku Stadium. Now, this is a comedy, Katemba, if you ask me. I've grown up knowing that Express plays in Wanguku as their home turf, as their home ground. Now, things are changing now that SC Villa is hosting Express in Wanguku. It's like me telling me that I'm hosting someone in a home in Ntungamo. How can I have a home in Ntungamo, even if I'm Ugandan? Anyway, but so, but what I'm trying to say here is, how can SCV host Express in Wanguku? Can it even happen? But it's going to happen this evening when the two teams lock horns in Wanguku. And I think they have lost a lot in terms of players, in terms of the bit of a derby where players are psyched up for the game. I don't see it this time around. Maybe the fans can create the atmosphere of being a derby, but the players on the pitch, they are no longer them. Just imagine 15 years ago when you have Sam Kawaya in goal, you have George Tosemogere, you have Philip Obunyi, you have players like James Odoch, Ibrahim Wembo, you have Kefa Chisara, you have Asani Figombiru, you have players on the bench. You can call on Fred Tama to come in. You have Jamil Chambade. That's, I think, 20 years ago, if my memory is right. Then at this Villa, you can have an Erika Watson, you can have a Philip Sozi, a James Kayimba, a Maurice Sunguti. Today, when you look into both sides, you find the Rubens and the Mastikos of this world playing for Villa and Express. Anyway, but from the game is on today, you can you can go and watch the game in Wankukuku. Football, really, sports has really changed from the days of. Now look at that lineup for SC Villa. Akim Bodabado Magumba, Simon Masaba as well, being part of. Then Postnet Omonya as a goalkeeper. Then Ibrahim. Actually, Makribo when he played for the two big clubs in this country. He played for Express and SC Villa. Philip Obunyi. But now those players are no more. That was Nachivo Stadium. No, Nambole, not Nachivo. That is Nambole Stadium. When the two teams met, but the Villa had a midfield. You could see even Kabagambe. I can recognize a few faces there. Then George Tosemogere introducing telling Kabaka the Villa players. You could see Majidu Musi. Next was is it Katerega? I don't remember, but I can see Majidu Musi in that picture. But the man introducing the players to the Kabaka is George Tosemogere, so Express lifetime captain. I grew up watching that guy play, and I liked his size in terms of height, and was playing right back for Express. And actually, Semogere would play across the positions in defense. He could play central defense, could play left back, right back. He could even be a midfielder, George Tosemogere. Now you could find short players playing for Express in defense, and you were like, where is Semogere? Where is Philip Obunyi? Anyway, away from the local derby, let's go over to what we have tomorrow in the Premier League. A couple of games will be played in the Premier League. Aston Villa will take on Chelsea. That will be at 5 p.m. Leeds will take on Arsenal at Elland Road. Then Man U will take on Newcastle. Southampton will take on West Ham at St. Mary's. And then the big one on Sunday will be Liverpool against City at the Anfield Stadium. And the question is, can Liverpool replicate what they had in the midweek against Rangers? I don't know. Leicester will take on Palace, Fulham, Bournemouth, Wolves, Nottingham Forest, and then Spurs will take on Everton. That's another good game on Sunday. Then German Bundesliga, Leverkusen will take on Frankfurt, Wolfsburg at the VW Arena. Will take on Gladbach, Stuttgart, Bochum, Bremen, Mainz, and Leipzig will take on Hertha Berlin. And that will be in the Bundesliga. Then La Liga as well. We have La Liga Egmont. We'll have a couple of games in the Spanish La Liga. We have the Clásico. Clásico will be on this weekend. The El Clásico is actually the European derby. Madrid will take on Barcelona. Celta Vigo will take on Sociedad, and then the big one in Europe will actually be the Clásico. Madrid will take on Barcelona at Santiago Bernabeu. Then Espanyol Valladolid, Betis Almeria, and so many other couple of games. And then the Serie A, Inter Salernitana, we have Lazio Udinese, Spezia Cremonese, Napoli Bologna, and the Hellas Verona will take on the mighty Milan. The mighty Milan, the blood. Then we had the Europa League games. Arsenal had to settle for a 1-0 win over Bordeaux. Then AIK did lose to Fenerbahce by 2-1. Dynamo Kiev did lose to Renault. That was 1-0. Betis won, Roma won. We had Braga as well draw with Union SG. That was 3-3. And then we had Union Berlin against Malmo. They did beat Malmo. Then Manu beat Ammonia Nicosia in a game that was so tense. That was had so much, what should I say? There was too much pressure to Old Trafford. Goals were not coming in until Scott McTominay had that final say in the 30th minute of the added time. Scott McTominay feeding off Jordan Sancho to give Manchester that deserved the 1-0 win. So Sociedad 3, Sheriff 0, and so many other games. So I'll leave it to Michael Sefuma here to return at 1:30 to take you through sports. But I know my colleague here, Philomena Mastiko, would want me to take a word or two about basketball tonight or this evening.
I really want to go and watch my heart being broken.
Okay.
If City Oilers does that nonsense again.
But why would you think the Oilers are going to win this? I mean, yes,
I mean,
strong
3
team.
games in a row.
You can lose them. You can lose them on a bad day. But I don't think they can have 3 bad days. There are 2 bad nights. The third night might not be a bad night for them.
Okay, I'm going to try to be optimistic.
But the first game, the Dolphins against the Lady Cannons, I hope you catch that game.
We'll see.
Be in by 5. The games will be on.
5 I'll be trying to prepare. but I will try to make sure I'm there in time. And maybe.
So who would you love to win against the Dolphins and the Lady Cannons?
Maybe Lady Cannons?
Okay.
Yes, Lady Cannons.
Then the Oilers against the Blazers?
Well, I would want the City Oilers to prove us otherwise.
But that would be 8 in a row. 8
It is okay. It is okay.
No.
There is nothing wrong with being a champion for 8.
We need a different
Although
winner.
the non-Blazers are really doing quite well. There is this guy whose name I've forgotten, but he does number 23. In the previous game, he did have 20 points in the first quarter. A single man. I was like, if they're starting off like this, how is this game going to end? In the very first quarter, 20 points, only one man. And it was at that moment, Ruben, I decided to take my cup of coffee. I allowed us like, well,
no, so rumor has it that the Oilers wanted to push to Game 7 so that football makes some money.
Yes.
Rumor has it.
Yes.
But of course, on the other hand, from Joseph Ikong, Masaida Misi, Chris Omanye, just had their A game. You know, you can step up and know that we can't be beaten every time. Let's step up. So, on the other side of the competition, the Blazers had players showed up.
Yes.
Then on the other side of the rumor, they said that the Oilers wanted it to go to Game 7.
Because everybody kept screaming and chanting. Game 7, that was, I think, was still doing like about Game 5. And everyone was like, this is nothing. We are waiting for Game 7. So Game 7 is here. I am waiting. I cannot wait to see what's going to be happening over there at Lugogo. So for me, if you want to look for me, find me there.
With
find
the popcorn.
Me there. Yeah, with popcorn. Very ready. Thank you so much, Ruben, for those sports updates. We still have one more performance from Kenneth Nahawe here. And of course, we'll be trying to, wind up the show and also be very grateful to everybody that has been with us. But for now, we're going for a break. We'll be back shortly.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Of the day on UBC.
If I'm looking at issues of taxation and all that, I will definitely run for the Kateshumbas. Okay? If I look at, if I'm looking at issues of investments and what, I would definitely run. I would definitely run for Dr. Emure Kugonza and Honorable Omara. Okay. If I'm looking at issues of the law, I will run for our very, very own people. I have the Oboso Bosses, I have the Katuntus, I have the Robin Arwakojos. So everyone is talented in one way or another.
Did you mention Katuntu?
Okay. Yes.
Is he yours?
Yes, he is.
Yours as in NRM?
He is.
Was brought to you by.
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Iye mundere remawi, mundere njende, yowi tukawari, ikamuchuma ndinga, empunguzerera, zikabugo bugweru ye mundere, iye mundere mawi ye mundere, iye mundere mawi, mundere njende, yowi tukabari, ikamuchuma ndinga, empunguzerera, zikabugo bugweru, eyebichubizerera, bikabugo bugweru. Akati kashaka makanga myambe itabantu kagwana rukonda konda kwa mawe, osyo mawe. Iye mundere, iye mundere. Chorugayo ndebe mawe, ijandebe, wabajesera rugayo ndebe, ijandebe murunji. Yenaba nindugo mukagoye, akantambara ya mafunda nanka wabuye. Nakuretera katamba sindo, hamwene nkando jwaro rebeche kurunjiye. Ewe ninkukunda, mutima gwengoma, ye ninkukunda, mugufochira baringwa ye. Nankarugayo ndebe mawe, ijandebe, wabajesera rugayo ndebe, ijandebe, muzirapa rugayo ndebe, ijandebe, emunywani wa kanyamunyu, iyego iye. Mama rugayo ndebe mawe, ijandebe wabajesera rugayo ndebe ijandebe muzirapa rugayo ndebe ijandebe muzirapa rugayo ndebe ijandebe munywani wa kanyamunyu yego
Well, now what is the name of that one? Because I've had kanyamunyu. Isn't that a type of a bird?
Yeah, kanyamunyu is a type of a bird.
I got my things.
And they usually want to use it as an example. It has those thin legs.
Yes,
and
yes.
So they want to they want to use it as an image on those tiny beautiful ladies.
Oh, okay, all right. But it's such a beautiful bird. I don't know what they call kanyamunyu in English, so we are just going to go with that.
Yeah,
but
sure,
thank you so much for that performance.
My pleasure.
I mean, it's been really, really great. And I
Thank
love
you.
the fact that it is really culture-based. Now, how often do you do these performances? And anybody who really wants to get you, Kenneth, where do they find you?
Yeah, thank you. So whoever wants to feel this music, whoever wants to follow me, I'm on all social media platforms. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. You just type Kenneth Nahabwe. And this is what I do. I perform, basically I've been performing for tourists. Those are my biggest clients so far. And I've been doing parties, Quinjila. I don't know how many parties I've done so far.
Yes.
I do soundtracks for movies. For those who would want to do movies and documentaries. And I have something coming up this December.
Okay.
This December, I'm releasing a full album of folk tunes. A full album of folk tunes. I've been compiling this for 3 years, and so people have been asking, what do you have? What do you have for us? Like we only see you perform. What do you have for us? Like on social media to share with others, music recorded.
Yes.
So I'm bringing a full album this December.
This December. So you clearly know what to do. For those of you who love this kind of music, it's very, very interesting. And I talk about it because it's closer to my heart as well. But Kenneth, thank you so much. What are your plans for this weekend though?
This weekend, of course, I'm going to finish up my album like I told you.
Yes.
And
it's quite a very busy schedule for you.
And plan for me.
Yes. I will be giving you one after here.
Thank you.
Anyway, to all our family, good morning, Uganda. You've done such an amazing job all the way from Monday till now. We don't take that for granted. And now the weekend is officially here. While you are doing whatever it is that you usually do to engage yourself, make sure that you put a ball at the back of your mind. Be very careful, be very cautious. I want to wish you a wonderful and beautiful weekend ahead. Hopefully, we'll be seeing each other on Monday. I am Philomena Mastiko. Have a very beautiful Friday and a very fruitful weekend ahead.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is.